Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm Stephanie Stevens, and I serve as Assistant Director in the Office of Admissions at TWU. First of all, thank you for joining us today. We're very glad that you're here. I kindly ask that you keep your microphones muted and your cameras off during the presentation. You may ask your questions in the chat feature, and we have several people here to assist you with your questions, and we will be staying a few minutes after the presentation. Our presenter today is Dr. Christopher Ray. Dr. Ray holds a PhD in movement studies from the University of Georgia. He also has a master's in human performance and sports studies, as well as a bachelor's degree in exercise science, both from the University of Tennessee in Knoxville. He's a leading expert in geriatric health and aging in place. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Christopher Ray, our Dean of the College of Health Sciences.
Thank you very much. You know, I'm excited to see how many people turned out today to talk about TWU and the College of Health Sciences a bit. And that's really one of a couple of topics that I want to kind of cover today. I know, and maybe by mentioning it in the chat section, if you feel compelled to do so, share, you know, those of you that are transferring into TWU, into the College of Health Sciences, and possibly those that are considering TWU in the College of Health Sciences, along with other universities or other programs at TWU. That would be great to kind of understand as we kind of walk through some of the information we're going to discuss today. I'd be remiss if I didn't start off by saying I really wish we were doing this in person. I wish we had all the students here and all the energy and all the opportunity to show you our beautiful campus. There's a saying about TWU, and I think it's fairly true, and I've been around quite a few universities, but TWU is a public university with a private feel, and it doesn't take long to spend on our campus here in Denton, Texas, to start to realize that, and realize that it's a really unique and special place. I think that combined with the town of Denton would serve as an incredible opportunity to pursue your degree, transfer in, or pursue your four-year bachelor's or graduate degree, whatever it is that you are seeking. The other topic I kind of want to talk about today a little bit is, and maybe it's more for those comments that are those transfer students or those students that are still kind of deciding. So I'm going to briefly editorialize throughout as I talk about what I think is great in our program. Our programs is a little bit about what I wish I knew when I was in your seat. And I do actually, even though it was a long time ago, recall being in the position that you guys are in, visiting college campuses and trying to decide what program I want to go to. I also remember, you know, starting to look at classes and schedules and starting to try to determine a major and a path forward. And I remember making a couple shifts along the way, but I think there's some really good principles that I want to try to share with you guys as just some advice, but also as a hope for you as you guys kind of pursue your higher education degree here or elsewhere for that matter. And a lot of that's going to be starting to discuss your professional identity. And there's so many great things about university life, and as you guys are kind of making this transition, and some of that is the social transformation, some of that is the friendships and relationships that you guys will be making over the next few years and how they will serve you through your whole life. I still keep constant contact with college roommates and college friends, and they certainly do help us with the tough decisions and pick us up when we're struggling and celebrate with us when we achieve things. And I certainly hope that for all of you, certainly as you make this transition. And then the fourth kind of principle that I want to talk about as we kind of do it over context of our programs is I want you guys to take advantage of the opportunities that you have. TWU is a place, and I say this in the in-person orientations, and I say this to your parents when your parents are here for orientation. It is a place where we are student-centered, we are student-focused, we are deriving the best outcome we can, and that is our students, and it is our brand in health sciences. It is why we get clinical relationships. People want to hire our students. People want our students to do clinicals on their sites, and a lot of that has to do with a number of factors, but first and foremost, I'll say is that we are a transformational institution. As an institution, we provide top-ranked education. When you look at our programs and you look at them against our competitors, you look at them across the state of Texas, you look at them nationally, if we have a program that can be ranked, it is ranked, and if it is ranked, it's likely #1 in the state of Texas. And the important side of that is not only is it the #1 ranked PT program, dietetics program, communication science program, we flip-flop a little bit in OT with UTMB, but we are the top ranked program in the state, and we are doing so at a fraction of the cost of our competitors. And by doing that, our students leave with an excellent education. They're prepared to go into clinical, they're prepared to go into graduate degrees, they're prepared to go into the workforce, and they're prepared to do so with again, a fraction of the debt load of students of other universities. And that is a huge impact, and that's what makes us truly transformational. I think there's universities out there that can make part of that claim. They can say that they're the lowest cost in the state of Texas, or they can say that they provide a top-tier education in the state of Texas, but very few can say we do a top-tier education in the state of Texas, and we do so at a fraction of the cost with passing the least amount of debt load onto our students. And so I think that's an important thing to say. And as you look at other universities, you know, it won't take long on their website. It won't take long as you dive into their programs to see what their mission statement is. And it's clear, hopefully, as you guys peruse and spend time on our website, that we are a student-centered, student-focused university. We do compete in other areas with other universities in research, but I would venture to guess that 90+% of our research involves student engagement, and some of which is largely put in place specifically for students to be involved. And so we're going to talk a lot about that. We're going to talk about how we integrate that in our curriculum, and we're going to talk about how we feel like that will best serve you as a student and you as you move on into your career. So starting off, let me just say the College of Health Sciences is a broad university or a broad college. We have a number of different programs, and they're depicted by this initial slide that hopefully everyone can see. But this includes our Communication and Sciences Disorders program and dental hygiene, health studies, occupational therapy, physical therapy, kinesiology, and nutrition and food sciences. And as I go through these programs, I'm going to talk specifically about the programs. And in addition to talking about these programs, I'm also going to share kind of what I think the highlight and some of the things that I feel like you're going to experience as you spend time in these programs. One of the things that is important to us, and I think, you know, we've touched on it already, I'm sure I'm going to be repetitive and I'm going to touch on it again, is that we are a university that believes in applied learning. We are going to make that case that this is the time for you to do more. I'm not just saying academically. I think the coursework and the curriculum that we've laid out will serve you well. But in addition to that, if you are starting to develop your professional identity, this is the time. And it doesn't matter the degree path you're on in the College of Health Sciences. You know, if you aspire to be a PT or OT, if you aspire to be a cardiovascular rehab specialist, if you aspire to be a dental hygienist or a speech and language pathology or a dietitian, at the end of the day, the opportunity to practice that craft as you're learning it, to apply what you learn in the classroom and take that into the clinic, into the setting, into the schools for occupational therapy, or into the acute care setting for physical therapy. The opportunity to move that into the clinic and start to exhibit mastery of that clinical side of the information, and as you transition into the workforce, is a vital part of what we do, and is certainly something that we integrate. In addition to integration, for those of you, and again, if we're in person, and maybe we can use the chat room for this now, you know, if you're here and your desire is to pursue an undergraduate degree, and your desire is to then apply for, you know, one of our rehab sciences, whether that be PT or OT or communication sciences, or, you know, one of our graduate degrees, which it will be a fairly large percentage of our undergrads are already looking that direction. You know, make that known or share that in the chat room. That takes a whole nother layer to, as you are coming here as an undergrad, and I'll share some thoughts of that. Those are highly competitive programs. Our programs are geared towards being great pre-lead into those programs. They're standalone. You can go out and you be gainfully employed with our undergraduate degrees. If you are then seeking to pursue a PT or OT or a secondary degree or a clinical specialization, that opportunity exists. And as you build towards that opportunity, every chance I get to speak to you as a student, as a freshman, as a sophomore, as a transfer student, before you graduate, as you're applying, I'm going to share my hope for you. And that is that as you start to develop your professional identity, and as you start to transition into your higher education mindset, that you start to engage in activities that start to build that. And it doesn't have to be wildly time consuming. You could have a goal that you want to volunteer one afternoon a week as a freshman, and you can pursue that. You can look at, if you're interested in physical therapy, you can go and spend 4 hours a week in a physical therapy clinic as a freshman, and that will serve you well, not just in identifying maybe the setting you want to work in, but start to give you some of the requirements and some of the things that look good on your application. That's going to help you get admitted into the program. As you transition, and this isn't just for those students, but you start to get into sophomore or your upper level coursework, befriend a faculty member that you particularly share an interest with in research, or a faculty member that you learned a lot from in coursework, and ask if you can volunteer or observe their lab and research activities. After you spend a semester doing that, maybe 3 or 4 hours a week, ask if you can volunteer in their lab and start to collect data. Maybe as an upper level student, as you start to move into your senior and your senior type projects, maybe you can ask if you can use original data from that lab, and you can also apply that to an ACSM, American College of Sports Medicine conference, or a Texas undergraduate research conference, where you can seek to compete for a research award as an undergrad student, or you can submit it for an undergraduate scholarship. So those are the type of activities and extracurriculars that we're going to talk about that are available to you on this campus, but it's that engagement that really brings you here, that really helps you succeed, that really helps you take that next step, that's going to help you as you enter the job market. You know, I always make that point in this way. You know, certainly you're going to have experiences here, but it's the depth and the breadth of those experiences that we're going to share. But also, as you go into the interview, you know, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be a cardio rehab, technician at our hospital? Or why are you applying for this job? And, you know, the answer can be, you know, this is all I've ever wanted to do, and I got my degree. Or the answer can be, certainly I pursued a degree in this and I had these numerous experiences, but let me share a little insight about this experience I had, and let me share how that experience led to a research question, and then let me share how that research question led to my senior project. And based on that project and based on that data, we concluded these things, and that's the mindset. And I want to come here and I want to apply best practice, but I also want to question and I want to look at ways that we can improve. And I have that mindset, that growth-based mindset, and I feel like that will serve your organization and serve me throughout my career. And so starting to kind of build, that depth, as we kind of say, can you peel the onion and can you share, I learned a lot, I understand the field, but I've also experienced a lot. And because of that, I can bring that, that knowledge and that experience to bear as part of my employment in your organization or as part of my admittance into your new graduate program. So those are the things that I really want you to kind of be thinking about as you make your choice for university, but also as you look at our curriculum and as you start to think about how this step that you're taking, which is a huge step, and that degree is a critical part of that, but how all these things start to work together as you guys start to develop your path forward and your professional identity that's unique to you as you guys start through your higher education career. So with that, I'm going to kind of quickly move through our college and share about our programs. Again, College of Health Sciences, we're nationally ranked programs, and we graduate more healthcare PhDs than any other public university in Texas. If you look at a rehab sciences, physical therapy and occupational therapy, if you look at a speech and language pathology program, you are going to be hard pressed to not find our alumni as the faculty, if not the directors of those programs. There's not a program it's hard to find programs nationally that do not have our faculty as a major part of their programs. And that, we feel like that's a capacity building opportunity for our college. It's something we're proud of. We feel like it serves our students and our undergrads well, because people know I've experienced this environment, I've experienced this education, and this has become a tremendous opportunity as these students come out prepared for what's next. It's the same in the workforce. Again, if you go around and you look at our alumni network, it is a tremendous alumni network, and we have a tremendous opportunity to move students through. And certainly, as you progress through these programs, you'll be placed with our alumni in clinical programs or clinical internships with our recent and older graduates. If you look through our programs, one thing I'll notice and I'll comment on really with every program is going to be the breadth. And I think that's an important piece. I think especially at the undergraduate level, as you're seeking your undergrad, part of this is experiencing things. Part of this is trying new things on and seeing kind of what fits and what type of personality type you have, what type of interests that you're kind of drawn to. We do a lot in leadership, strangely. We look a lot at, the type of personalities that seek certain types of degrees or can be put in certain types of positions. And certainly, an example of that might be the extroverts, tend to gravitate more towards sales, and the introverts maybe go more towards labs. And we see that in our programs, but a lot of that can transition, especially as you're learning new things, you're in new environments, you're asked to develop new skills. And we want you to have that breadth of experience, just like at some point, like we said, we want you to start to focus and build that professional identity, and sharing that is a part of that. And I think that's what's unique about a lot of our programs. In healthcare, a lot of the times we use the term bench to bedside. How do we get something from the lab to clinical practice? And in a lot of ways, the clinic is the more high contact, the more strong communication, the art of clinical science piece. And sometimes the lab, we're working with test tubes and Bunsen burners, and we're doing analysis, and we have to translate that through. And when you look at our programs, one of the programs that it's incredibly clear on is our nutrition and food sciences program. Again, we have a highly ranked program, and we offer one of the only culinary science. So again, a very practical, clinical, field-based type program. But then on the other side, we have our dietetics program, and even further, we have a flavor chemistry program where we're looking at flavor profiles and how certain ingredients affect overall profile or to a palate or to a certain development of certain foods. So those type of opportunities, whether it be, again, more on the delivery side or well back on to the lab and the bench side, again, that breadth exists. And as you come here, if you were in nutrition and food sciences early in your academic programs, or as you matriculate into the nutrition and food science programs, you're going to have an opportunity to interact with faculty in those programs. You're going to have an opportunity to interact with other students in those programs. You're going to have an opportunity to take those classes, or at least sign up for some of them, possibly even as an elective, that starts to build some of that breadth. As we said, as you also start to focus some of your activities and build some of that depth. When you look at our legacy of excellence, in our physical therapy program, we have 40 years offering, again, one of the most rigorous curriculums in the nation. It's the only program to offer a DPT to PhD fast track option. So those that come here and seek an undergraduate pathway, whether that be through health sciences or whether that be through exercise science, and then they matriculate into our PT program, if they get there and they just really feel drawn towards the research and drawn towards the academic environment, we have that fast track option on the PhD, which doesn't exist in every program, obviously. If you look at occupational therapy, again, you start to see that we're one of only 3 PhD programs specific to occupational therapy in the US. 30 alumni teach in 21 programs, 12 states, and 3 countries. And again, just building that awareness, building that network, and really serving our students and serving our field and discipline. And I've said this in some of these sessions, certainly when it's face-to-face, that as a dean, a lot of tough decisions get made about budget and state and how we run our programs, and doctorate programs are not always they tend to be small. They tend to take a lot of one-on-one time. They tend to be very expensive programs to run. And we've made a decision, we've made a commitment that the field needs this, our students need this, this serves our students. If they have an option to stay here, obviously we want to keep them and pursue these graduate degrees and these clinical degrees. But if the opportunity arises for them to go elsewhere, by having so many faculty in those programs, we feel like that really gives our students an added advantage for pursuing an undergraduate degree here. That's quite frankly unique to here. Our communication sciences and oral health program, it produces more SLP programs than any other program in the state of Texas. We serve really a unique need in Texas, not just through our kind of campus-based program, but also through our program that reaches out into rural healthcare centers and educates people in place and allows specialty care to exist all across the state of Texas. In addition to that, we have our dental hygiene program, which is a tremendous program. It is actually an undergraduate program that you apply to in your sophomore year. So again, you're building that professional identity, you're applying into that program. While you're in that program, you have an opportunity to spend time in our clinics and see patients and learn and be prepared, again, to join the workforce. We also have a Master of Science Bridge program, which we see a lot of students that continue into to get a master's with that dental hygiene, or students, past students of ours, come back to as they look to take leadership roles in their field, and they want to take on and become a director of hygiene at a clinic, or a director of hygiene, at a healthcare center, in a hospital, or clinical type environment, that we find that credential and that pairing with that program really has been a great advantage to those students as they look to take that next step. So again, a lot of thought has gone into how we're positioning and serving our students. We look at one of our more robust undergraduate programs, and again, if I was in the room and I could see a show of hands, and you can certainly comment if you're one of these students, you know, probably about 70 to 80% of you would be in health promotion and kinesiology, or health studies, or possibly public health, which we're looking to transition and develop a more robust public health program. But when you start to look at that, we've got a number of programs, and you can see our adapted program. It's thriving, it's large. It's hard to be somewhere in North Texas where our student either isn't leading or directing adapted physical recreation and education programs in the community and in the school systems. We see a huge amount of traffic. Unfortunately, we're not seeing it right now, and we'll probably be restricted this summer, but certainly on our campus, we do run a number of camps, again, giving our students that opportunity to work with a number of veteran organizations, student organization, you know, groups that look at serving adolescents with, you know, a wide variety of impairments and issues that we look at the therapeutic benefit of. We research, we conduct research studies with them, in partnership with them, and just really try to provide a tremendous experience for our students. The picture, probably on the bottom right of your screen, shows like an atomage table. So, you know, when we talk about our facilities and we talk about state-of-the-art education, you know, we're talking about access to, you know, leading technology, and except for in places where you know, old technology still is the best, but certainly an atomage table where you see a group of students that probably started out with a sliver of a cadaver, and they identified certain landmarks, and then some disease pathology was presented. It was viewed through the sliver of the cadaver, so maybe as a cardiovascular, and maybe you could identify, you know, as the blood pumped, maybe there was a blockage, and then you can start to look at what type of, you know, you can see that through a number of different tests and assessments, and you can work through a whole case study on what amounts to, you know, a person-size iPad. And that iPad also displays up to the screen, and we use that a lot in our kinesiology programs. We use similar technologies actually in our graduate programs, where we do both cadaver dissection and work with cadavers, but we also supplement that with a lot of technological identification of landmarks and of specific parts of the body, along with some of the pathology associated with that. So again, really exciting interactive learning opportunity to kind of pull the students in, but also to pull you guys in, but also, you know, as you guys start to take that knowledge base and start to, you know, understand the pathology, and then transition that into the clinical environment, which is a big part of that. And so, you know, what will your identity be? What will your professional, what mark will you leave on this campus as you start to go through your programs, and what opportunities are you going to take advantage of? I want to highlight a couple of these, and these are all recent. These have all probably happened in the last 24 months, and they are really some amazing stories of our graduates and our current students and graduates, for that matter. One is the Acolytes of Apollo story. This was a group of students that were largely kines students. I think we also had some fashion and textiles students as well. And they partnered together, and they formed a team, and they went down to NASA, and NASA had a problem that they were asking outside teams to compete and try to solve. And every other team from every other university was a team of engineers, and we sent down a team of kinesiologists. And the question was, how do we fix an issue of reoccurring low back pain that we are getting during space flight? Prolonged space flight, prolonged exposure to reduced gravity settings was leading to an increased issue of low back pain in our participants. So our students took that on. They put together a team, as we said. They went down and competed, and they not only took first in 2 of the 3, the poster, the presentation, and second in 1 of the applications, but they also took first overall for best design, best solution, and best opportunity. And those students have now taken that with them. They have earned some scholarship money from that experience, and in addition to that, many of them have added that to their academic record and applied successfully to a number of PT and rehab science type programs, and really, again, took advantage of the faculty that are here and the opportunities to really engage and be as active as possible as they can, both in the classroom and with their fellow students. And that's just a wonderful kind of opportunity. Another opportunity that we see is that if there is an event going on in North Texas, and sometime near our branch campuses as well, down in Dallas and further down into Houston, those opportunities are usually going to be engaged and involved our students. And one area that we are typically extremely active in is autism and autism awareness. And so this was a great program where they did a sensory friendly night and a sensory awareness night at a Frisco Rough Riders game. And our students went down and set up sensory rooms and set up sensory activities and worked with parents and worked with kids with sensory issues. And we've done that at the Perot Museum, the Fort Worth Zoo. We've done it, just about at every major kind of public venue. Our students have led the way in that and really had a tremendous opportunity to gain exposure and experiences that really serve them well, but again, allow them to take that didactic knowledge, that lab knowledge, from the campus into a public setting and have a really a tremendous experience with that. A number of our programs, and I said I'm for the academic engagement. I want you guys to come here. I want you guys to reach out and volunteer in clinics. I want you to engage with our faculty, and I want you to volunteer in their labs and participate and ask them to participate with you in scholarship applications and undergraduate research competitions. But but a big part of that is that sense of community, and I can't encourage you enough. Whether it's a social group or whether it's an academic club, to make a point and make it a goal and something you write down. My goal is to join at least one social organization and one academic organization in my freshman year or in my first semester or in my first year, and really engage in that experience, because we know as academics, the students that come and do that, they perform better, they have a better social network, they deal with the tough times better, they're more resilient, they graduate quicker, they have better opportunities to pursue secondary degrees and graduate degrees. And we really want that network for you, and we really want you guys to make that a priority as you sit and map out your 4-5 years here as an undergrad, or 2 or 3 years as a transfer. And so the hope is that as you guys make this transition, that you're thoughtful and you say, yeah, absolutely, I want to have academic goals, I want to get my schedule right, I want to work with the advisors and be well informed of what the sequence of courses I need to take. I have this GPA goal and ambition potentially that I want to try to maintain. In addition to that, I want you to again, put one professional opportunity that you want to reach out and engage in. I want you to put one social club or organization, one professional club or organization, and I want you guys to really do that, because the opportunity to do that and the value of that is really hard to express, other than to say, it'll get you through, and it'll make sure that you are a success at this time in your career. Another great story, I think if you watch the Food Network, or certainly if you watch Gordon Ramsay's Hell's Kitchen, one of our recent graduates competed in that, and that was Michelle, none other than Michelle Tribble. Michelle was a great graduate of ours, went on the show, became a finalist, went on the All-Stars, won the finalists in the All-Stars, and now has spent 2 years as the resident chef in Hell's Kitchen in Las Vegas. And so she is just a tremendous kind of pioneer, and someone we're really excited to have as an alumni. But, you know, this is, again, you know, you come to an environment, and I can't say this enough, that you're able to not only learn things, but you're allowed to develop those skills. You're allowed to engage in those opportunities, and then you can transition that into so much. And whether you end up here in our programs or whether you go to another university, it's my hope that you pursue every one of those opportunities. You end up in a place that really provides you, you know, a full holistic education like we do here at TWU. Another great alumni of ours that I'd love to highlight, she was one of our exercise and sport nutrition, which is in our nutrition and food science program. And it actually is a collaborative program that some of our exercise science and kinesiology faculty engage in, is Roxanne Vogel. And Roxanne graduated from our program, went out and worked at GU Energy Labs. GU is just a little carbohydrate supplement for endurance athletes. And because of her, we found out that about, you know, GU is, Google's a large company. GU is a small company, and about half of their employees are TWU alumni, and one of which is Roxanne. And Roxanne has taken it upon herself to summit the highest peaks in the world, and do so at a relatively young age, and do so while studying the effects of altitude. And one such ascent was up Everest. This past year, she did a lightning ascent of Everest, which most people go up at, and you know, they go up so far and then they acclimate based on the height that they're at and the physiological condition of that height. But what Roxanne did is to shorten her acclimation period. She slept in a hyperbaric chamber, she worked in a hyperbaric chamber, she exercised in a hyperbaric chamber at GU while she prepared for this lightning ascent. And then she did it basically from the time she stepped foot out of her house to return to her house was approximately a week. It was an amazingly scary attempt, and it was an amazingly successful attempt. And it's really cool to have a pioneer like Roxanne as one of our alumni, again, that is out there doing great things, that really took full advantage of her opportunities here, and is really exciting to see what she's accomplished and what she's going to continue to accomplish. So with that, you know, I think we've kind of talked about our programs. We've shared a little bit, hopefully, about what I think is important, what I get excited about. You know, to kind of recap and summarize, you know, TWU is a really special campus and place. I wish you were here. It is an easy, walkable campus. Denton is a great community, and I really think if you were choosing a college, you can't go wrong with TWU in that from that regard. In addition to that, it's a transformational place. It's a place where, you know, our programs are highly ranked. Our graduates are highly desired. We give you experiences in a number of clinical settings and with some of the biggest corporations and hospitals in North Texas. In addition to that, we do so at a fraction of the cost of our competitors, which when you put those two things together, that is the definition of transformational. You know, you end up with basically a university degree with the highest ROI, return on investment. as possible. So that's a great opportunity, and we're excited for those that have chosen to come here, and we're excited for those that are still considering TWU. In addition to that, I can't stress enough, whether you come here, whether you go somewhere else, use this time to develop your professional identity. At a place like TWU, where we are student-centered, the answer will be yes. The opportunities will be plentiful. The experiences will have breadth and depth, and at the same time, when you ask those faculty to engage back and help with scholarships and help with research applications that you want to be the leader on, the answer will be yes. And those opportunities, I always say, you know, as Dean of the College of Health Sciences, which I'm extremely grateful to be, I can go to a faculty member and suggest they apply for a grant. A student can go and request that they assist with a scholarship research application, and 9 times out of 10, the faculty member will work with the student. And that's just the culture, and that is just the value system that we have here at TWU, and I think it's great. And so that is my wish for you. Go a place that's transformational, go to a place that you can socially develop, academically develop, but certainly from the academic side, take advantage of your opportunities and develop that professional identity that allows you to succeed very early in your career, very early in your tenure of life, like so many of the pioneers that we shared here today. So with that, we have a number of contacts that you can reach out to. These are our advisors. They do an excellent job. They're going to give you the keys to the castle, so to speak. They're going to map it out for you, tell you how to progress through your programs. In addition, if you're desiring a graduate program or transitioning into a second admit program, and a lot of those programs, they start to tell you how you have to start to build that application and what are some things you need to do to continue to be competitive. Likewise, every opportunity I have to speak to you, I'm gonna share again my hopes and desires and what I think you guys should be working on. And if you have any questions of me, or if you want to reach out to my associate dean, Dr. Mylock, who has probably been active in the chat, certainly is on in the room, so to speak. But certainly feel free to directly reach out to us. My email, of course, is incredibly simple. It's just Chris Ray, CHRISRAY @twu.edu. And with that, thank you again for attending. I know I'm going to hand it back off, and we're going to continue to kind of spend time here. I'll try to be active in the chat room. I'll try to answer questions. If there are some questions that come up that one of the moderators wants to direct to me, I'm happy to try to respond to that as well. But I am slightly conscious of time, and I think we are coming close to the end of our designated time. And so with that, I will turn it back over.
Thank you, Dr. Ray. That was very helpful. So if any of you have questions, Dr. Ray's available for a few minutes. And our organizers are welcome to ask some questions as well. I'm not seeing any at the moment. I think your advisors have done an excellent job answering the questions as they arrived.
I did click on the chat, and it did look like questions were being asked and things were being answered.
Yes.
So that's excellent.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Ray. We appreciate your information and your time, and we encourage everyone to continue joining us. There are other college presentations this week, as well as our student services presentations next week. So we encourage everyone to continue to join us to learn more about the university and the programs. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you all again.